I'm Leslie.
And I'm Shelly.
And we're
Sisters in Ebert.
Welcome back for another Movie Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Today's picture of choice.
Oh, Field of Dreams.
But feel good.
A classic.
Yes.
This was a summer of movies.
Yes, summer movies.
And in the evening, summer of movies.
Evenings. This may have been a double feature day because my mom was with us when we watched this too, which means she was home from work. I remember watching it in the evening.
Yeah, so it was like a dinner time
special. And it was.
We probably had our lunch movie and then.
And it was hot, but it was cooling down because they had the doors open. Like our parents didn't believe in air conditioning. Oh my gosh, we had air conditioning. We didn't know.
The woods. We can leave the doors open.
We didn't know we had air conditioning.
Yeah, they made it seem like we didn't have it. You couldn't turn it on.
Yeah.
No, they just wanted that summer breeze.
And it was hot. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm an indoor girl, so
hence our movie watching.
Yes. So Field of Dreams is today. I was looking at the credits as it started, and I must apologize. My closed captioning was not working for this one, so I have a couple of anecdotes on the way through that are closed captioning related.
Oh.
But I was going through the credits, and Linda Bass was costumes, and I had to look her up afterwards because that was my college theater professor's name. Linda, and I'm like,
could it be?
It's not the same one. But I had another college professor who I worked with in productions, and she did some acting, so I wasn't sure, if they, yeah. Yeah, it was not. It was not the same Linda Bass, but this one is still alive and well, so that's good. Yeah, my professor passed, unfortunately, but yeah. Okay, so Ray Kinsella is our lead character,
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, Kevin Costner, and I think this was like the height of Kevin Costner.
Yes, he's a delight.
Yes. He never got along with his dad, who was an attempted baseball player. His dad tried to make it to the majors, didn't really work out. He raised his son with baseball.
His mother died.
His mother died when he was 3. And then, okay, so I guess I could go ahead and tell anything. I thought their name for the whole movie was Casella. Because I was like, because I couldn't, like, I had it down low. I was trying not to wake up the baby in the back. Because I was like, once she's up, I'm not good with this. So, and my subtitles weren't working. So I thought he kept saying Casella. Well, he says it like 10 times.
It's a very prominent name in the movie.
I was like, I thought, okay, Casella. So I crossed it out here, Kinsella. And then, he met Amy from Iowa. It's Annie. I thought her name was Amy the entire movie until I got. I've been calling her Crandall. If you're a Simpsons fan, let us know if you recognize that one. But yeah, so I met Annie from Iowa at college at Berkeley. It took me the entire movie to read the credits and see that it was Annie. I'm like,
what else did I miss?
Exactly. Because again, like, I know the basic characters, but it's been a long time since I've seen the film, so I didn't know their names. So they stayed with her parents a full afternoon before they got
sick of them.
They got sick and they didn't get along well. He bought a farm with Amy at 36, which hurt my heart.
Annie at 36. They bought a farm. Not Amy. There's no Amy in this film that I'm aware of.
Annie, which makes sense because she's an Iowa farm girl. That's more of an Iowa name. Like, Annie.
That's an Iowa name.
Well, I mean, for your simple character, like, what do you think of when you hear farm girl? Annie.
I think of Fern from Charlottesville.
Oh, that too. Okay, so Annie, I know we're a family channel, but take a drink every time you hear me say Amy, because I'll probably screw up again. It's full of Amy's.
I'll raise my toast when I catch it.
I want a full count at the end of this.
Okay.
Okay. At 36, which hurt my heart because I'm 37 currently.
And you don't own a farm.
No, I own a house though.
Yeah, that's true. But you don't have land like they did.
The bank owns it too, and the bank owns theirs too. So I mean, we're both kind of paying the mortgage. So it's not like they own it.
True.
Okay. So they never did he never did a crazy thing in life until he heard the voice, and is just walking in his corn one day.
Although, time out. I feel like buying a farm when you don't know how to be a farmer is a crazy thing.
And
That's a
going
big job.
Cross country to Berkeley in the 60s was also a crazy thing. And he's talking about dropping acid and
Yes.
like being a hippie. Like,
Yeah, it sounded like he was a little crazier.
it sounded
than
like he
seems.
did a lot of crazy things.
But to him, he wasn't crazy till he heard
the voice. So he's walking in the corn and he hears,
"If you build it, he will come."
which again, I had to rewind 3 times because my subtitles weren't working and I wanted to get that right.
Yeah. I always thought it was they will
me too.
come.
I thought that too.
And I looked it up. It's one of the most like
Misheard,
misquoted
yeah.
movie
Uh-huh.
lines.
Okay. Yeah, and I've heard that before too, so I really want to make sure I got it right.
Yeah. But if you build it, he will
yeah,
come.
he will come.
And he's like, "Did you hear that?"
Yeah.
He's like losing his mind.
Yeah. It's okay, honey. Just talking to my cornfield. And then if the voice calls when I'm gone, take a message.
Yeah. Annie.
Annie says
Annie
that.
said that, not Amy.
Not Amy. I didn't screw it up.
I
either.
know.
I thought they had some interesting art in their farm. Did you notice when he was leaving there was like a Marilyn Monroe picture by the door, and I'm like, why? Like it's
They were hippies buying the farm.
kitschy.
Kitschy, yeah.
Yeah. I said by the door for some reason. The farmers in town are all worried he's nuts because he's ripping out his land to make this baseball diamond.
Yeah, so like he's like you kind of skipped a part.
Well, he hears it again.
Yeah, and
And
then
then
he sees a vision
yeah.
of a baseball.
I didn't skip it. I was getting to it.
No, but you're saying they think he's crazy because he's building it.
Well,
But you didn't
oh,
talk
no,
about
no,
it.
that's right. They worry that he's nuts because he's hearing a voice.
Okay, he's hearing
Yeah,
a voice.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
And he's asking like, "Oh, I hear people hear voices. I'm
Yeah.
not hearing any.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not a good farmer." And they're like, "What? Who's hearing voices?"
Yeah. Nobody's hearing voices.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? So again, he hears it again, and then visions a baseball diamond in the corner of his field,
his property. Yeah. And so he goes for it.
The way Annie wonders if it could be an acid flashback. She's like, I've heard forward or backwards. Maybe it's
He's like, "I never did acid."
Yeah, but
And
he's like, well,
maybe it's a flash forward. Maybe you will one day. I liked her.
Yeah,
like I thought
too.
she was funny
Yeah.
and like witty little remarks. Like
Yeah.
they seemed like a nice couple.
Yeah,
they
like
had good
well-matched.
chemistry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He believes if he builds it, shoeless Joe Jackson would come back.
And he is the big baseball player
that
of
his
the
dad
time.
really
His
liked.
dad,
Well-
and he idolized him.
Well, growing up,
Yes,
like it was
when he was a kid.
when he was a kid. And then he's scared of turning into his father because by the time his dad was 36, he was ancient, never spontaneous. I'm like, listen, let's watch what we're
Watch your
saying.
We're in our 30s.
Yeah. So he never forgave dad for getting old. Oh, I'm sorry I had to raise a child by myself in what, the 50s and 60s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Annie says to do it. And to
Yeah,
build it.
just do it.
Yeah.
Build it.
So the whole town is gawking at him making this field.
Because he had to tear out so much of his
Right.
crop.
But
his
how
corn
did they
crop.
even know that he was doing it?
Oh,
Because they're out.
they're peeping toms. I don't know.
I guess so.
But yeah, I don't. That's not really explained how
no.
how they noticed.
No.
But yeah, so he tears out a lot of his crop
Yeah.
to make way for this field,
Yeah,
and it's a legit field.
He does a good job with
He
it.
put lights. And
Yep.
There's bleachers.
Yep. And
Beautiful thing.
he explains to his daughter that shoeless Joe Jackson would take off his shoes in the 6th inning, and that's how he got his nickname because the cleats would hurt his feet.
The cleats they gave him hurt his feet.
And that he was falsely accused of throwing the championship and suspended and never played again.
Yeah, so this was a huge
scandal.
It was true, wasn't it?
I
I'm pretty sure it
think.
happened that it was something with the mafia or something.
Yeah, it was the mob. Yeah,
and
like
it was the gamblers.
Yep.
Yeah, because they had these bets,
Which
and
was the mob.
they said throw the game, and
Which
they did.
Is
and
the
they
mob
got
a
caught.
regular gambler's not going to convince a team to do that?
Right,
Yeah.
and so they got caught.
Yeah.
And so then they were thrown out of baseball forever. So they had like a scorned career,
Yeah.
and they never really got their
came
chance.
Back. No,
Yeah.
never came back. They were suspended, never got to play again. Wife saw him smile once the thing was built. That's when he finally smiled.
Yeah, he seemed happy.
Yeah, once he was done. and he's waiting for Shoeless Joe and other dead players to show up. I put because he's just like sitting there
He's
waiting,
like looking around, like who's gonna come?
And now like the wife is very concerned because they might not even break even on their crops for the year.
Yeah, they're
due
looking
to
at their
less
finances.
acreage.
Yeah.
Karen, their daughter, sees a man in the field.
There's a man in the field.
Yeah. And it's Shoeless Joe.
Shoeless Joe. He's there.
Ray Liotta.
In his classic uniform.
Chicago White Sox.
So.
And they nod at each other. Yeah, and that's all they did. Yep. And who is it? Kevin Costner's character says no baseball in heaven. Because like he doesn't get to play. Somebody says no baseball in heaven.
Because Shoeless Joe says, "Is this heaven?"
No. I get to that.
But I know, but I'm saying at some point,
yeah.
So it's not him saying it.
No, I think it's a question. I think Kevin Costner asked him, and that there's no baseball because why else would he need to come back here to play baseball? You know. And Joe Jackson says no baseball felt like an amputation in his life. We're talking about his life. And then don't need a catcher if you get near the plate. Oh, because they said like, well, can't you want to play? And he's like, well, don't we need a catcher? You know,
yeah, so he asked him if he could pitch.
He was
if
pitching,
Ray would pitch him, so he did, and he was batting. He's like, as long as you get near the plate, we don't need a catcher.
Yeah,
and he's just smoking him. He's knocking him out.
Yeah, and he said, "Can you hit my curve?" And I just said, "Yeah, I think pro baseball players, Shoeless Joe Jackson, can hit your curveball." Ray, Mister, I don't play baseball professionally.
Yes. It never even didn't try to come close to it.
It's not like it was his loss.
Yes.
In fact, he said that he purposely went away from baseball because his dad liked it.
Yeah, and he didn't want to do anything to appease his dad.
Yeah. So Joe Jackson doesn't like lights. He says it's harder to see the ball, and
he's like, "What's with the lights?"
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, the owners felt more people could attend night games and weekends, you know." And Joe Jackson's just like, owners, When
I read that, there was a huge thing with the White Sox owners at that time that went in the time period that they were underpaying the baseball players, so it's like a nod at that, of course an owner would do that.
Yeah, I'm sure they still do where they can nickel and dime. I'm sure they do. So he can't come inside the house.
Yeah, he gets to the edge of the field
and he can't leave the field. Yeah, and he said there are others, you know. And, Ray says, come anytime. And then Joe turns around. Is this heaven? No, it's Iowa.
It's Iowa.
And then I put Woods from First Kid, which is another movie that we did, is in this movie too. He plays Annie's brother.
Yes.
But I didn't get that they were brother and sister right away. I got that they were related somehow, but not, they don't come out and say it till the very end. And his name is Mark, and he tries to get Amy to leave Ray. He's like, you should leave him.
You mean Annie?
Yes, I do.
Yes, trying to get Annie to leave Ray, because he's crazy. He's destroying the farm.
Financially ruining them. They can't make their mortgage payments.
He's nuts.
Yeah. Karen said baseball's on, and Mark says, oh, why is she just going to watch some TV? He just leaves to go watch TV.
Yeah, so Ray walks out with Karen outside.
Watch the baseball players play on the diamond.
The ghosts come out of the field.
Yep. And, what did I say? More players show up. I put the other guy from First Kid is there.
Yeah, they were probably happy to have a reunion.
Yeah, well, this was pre-First Kid.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that was, yeah. Players are cussing at each other, and then they notice Karen watching. Sorry, kid. It's okay.
Yeah, she's the sweetest little girl.
Amy's family.
Annie's family.
Annie's family can't see the players when they're leaving.
Yeah, they come out and they're like, I thought you were going to watch a baseball game.
Yeah.
They're like,
we are. Yeah, there's all these players actively playing.
Yeah, and they're like, there's nobody out here.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're all the Kinsells are all like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah, because Annie can see them too.
Annie can see them, Karen sees them, Ray sees them, but everybody else can apparently.
Yep. and play. So like they were just like, oh, like she like doesn't even care. Like her mom's like super rude to her about like making them feel stupid and everything. But I'm like, well, like she just giggles and was like, yeah, like
she's like, oh mom, come back, mom, as they're storming off.
Yeah. So Annie calls Ray in for dinner, and all the players mock him, and I'm like, yep, the loser with the family. Let's look at this loser going in for a hot meal.
My beautiful wife cooked me dinner. Oh, boo.
They pretend they're going into the cornfield, and the one pretends to melt like in the Wizard of Oz. Oh, what a world!
I'm melting. They're like, come on, let's go.
Yeah,
because they just walk into the corn and evaporate.
Yeah. And they go to the censorship meeting at the school board or whatever.
Yeah, so the PTA meeting is happening that night because there's members of the PTA are trying to ban
this
some
book by Terrence Mann, and Annie confronts the woman who's doing it. She's like, I bet you never even experienced the 60s. I experienced the 60s. Nope, you had the 50s twice and went straight to the 70s. But in the middle of Annie's little argument here, Ray hears a new voice, and it says, ease his pain.
Ease his pain. Oh, didn't he hear it right before they went to the meeting? Then he's thinking about the whole meeting. Like, he's writing it down.
I thought he heard it during the meeting, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to figure it out.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Because I put this on the side because I added it late, but I didn't know where it was supposed to be. So that was at the meeting. Okay. Yeah, because I did put when they went in for dinner, Annie said dinner was ready, come in. But when he gets in there, she's just putting frozen fries in the oven.
She's like dumping
and
fries.
I'm like, that is a 25-minute investment that you're doing right now. That is not ready.
You pull him away from his game with these dead players.
Dead pro baseball players. That's because you're right. When he was leaving to go in the house, that's when he heard ease his pain.
Yeah, whispery voice.
Yes. So they at the PTA meeting, they decide Annie's not credible since her husband plowed his corn to build a baseball field.
Yeah, they're all like in
tat with each other, giving like really like underhand, really cat fight little thing. And then Ray decides that he's supposed to ease Terrence Mann's pain. Yes. And then
so he's all amped up because he figured it out. She's all amped up because she won the argument at the PTA. She's walking through the halls.
Yeah. She's like, well, what does he got to do with baseball? Because it's Terrence Mann. He was like this influential writer of the 60s.
Philosophical writer.
Peace, love.
Yeah, make love, not war.
Yep. So I put Ray goes to the library to track him down in Iowa.
Yeah, he's looking up everything he can about Terrence Mann, reading interviews, doing his research. Maybe what's her name from Major League in the library could have helped him out a little.
Lynn. So Terrence Mann, he finds out is a big baseball fan, and he dreamed to play with Jackie Robinson, but then the Dodgers got sold out of Brooklyn, and he never got a chance, obviously. Mm-hmm. So the field took all of Annie and Ray's savings, but Ray wants to go to... I put Baltimore. I thought they said Baltimore, but again, I was having closed caption
I thought it was Boston.
It is Boston.
Okay.
But I thought I heard them say Baltimore.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't.
Well, maybe you did. I don't know what voices you're hearing in the corn, but...
mine aren't as profitable as Ray's. So they both had the same dream, though. Annie reveals that Ray at Fenway in Boston with Terrence Mann
eating a hot dog.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they both had the same
on the first base side.
Yep, on the first base side. They both had the same dream. So Annie's like, okay,
she's like, you gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah, so it is Boston, not Baltimore.
So he drives from Iowa to Boston.
Yes.
In their rickety old van.
Now, I know flying is expensive. However, is it
car maintenance? I feel
that thing. It's like a '60s VW van.
Yeah, like it probably was a gas guzzler,
and it probably was like on like its last legs too. You know, like
let's drive it across the country.
That's got to be a 30-year-old car almost at that point. So like, I mean,
yeah.
At least a 20-year-old vehicle.
Yeah, it's getting up there, but...
Yeah. So, so we meet Terrence Mann, and it's James Earl Jones, and he slams the door in Ray's... Yeah, Mufasa. Who slams the door in Ray's face.
He's angry.
Yeah, he's no longer a public figure, so pee off.
He was very hard to find.
Yeah. He's asking all these random people in the street, like, who... Like, if he's laying
this
under
is
the
Boston.
Well, and if he's laying under, the radar, why would these random people know who he? Like, the people at the school barely knew who he was. Right.
Yeah. He got it from like a delivery man of some kind, so he goes.
The gas guy, the gas attendant.
Was it the gas? I thought it was a delivery man, like a postman.
No.
But, okay.
Yeah. Well, maybe, but it was at a gas station. Okay. Finally, he paid the kid.
Either way, he found a way.
Yep.
Knocks on his apartment door and gets the cold shield.
Yeah, and he said, "Please, I came 1,500 miles at the risk of losing my farm and alienating my wife." And he said about how, you changed. Yeah, peace, love, dope. Now get out of here. Is what James Earl Jones says. So Terrence Mann knows that Ray is faking. Ray pretends he has a gun to try to
he's got his finger in his pocket
of his jacket.
He's like, what is that? It's a gun.
Yeah. He's like, show it to me. I'm not going to show you my gun. So then Terrence Mann grabs a crowbar and he's like, what are you going to do?
He's like, wait, I don't have a gun.
Terrence Mann thinks Ray's crazy. He used, but he lets him know that he used his father's name, John Kinsella, in one of his stories that he wrote. He asked him to come to the game with him at Fenway Park. He'd never bother him again, not even a Christmas card, if he just, goes with him to this game. Terrence Mann is sick of, he asks him what he wants, and he says that when they get to this game, he's sick of others looking for him for answers. He wants privacy. And then Ray says, no, what do you want?
They're at the hot dog stand.
He's like, dog and a beer. So, as they're watching the game, the scoreboard chart starts changing to red. And Terrence Mann can't see it, or so we think. And he said, you know what? You didn't need to be here.
Yeah, so he sees what was written on the board. It was the name of a player.
I wrote it down. Yeah, I think it. Oh yeah, no, it was. I didn't write it down, but it was Moonlight Graham.
Yes, Moonlight Graham. That's his name.
And I didn't write down exactly what it said, but it
had like stats. I think, there was baseball stats, and he's jotting it down.
Yeah, and it was like overlaying over like the current stats of the players that were presently playing.
Yeah.
And then Terrence Mann,
it just disappeared. Like it was gone.
He said he wishes that he had Ray's passion. He drops him off, and he said, "Okay, well, you're free to go." Ray does the U-turn to turn around to leave, and Terrence Mann is just standing there, like in the middle
of the street.
Yep. And he said, "You did see the message," and they're going to Minnesota then to find Moonlight Graham. Mm-hmm. So
they're on a road trip.
Yep. He wasn't letting on, but he did see it. So they found out that this kid played one game and never got to bat during the game. So, and then he never played again. He calls Annie and asks her to explain it to him, or asks him to explain it to her one day. And then Mark from the bank is there, her brother, and you can see them looming kind of in the background.
Yeah.
And we don't know exactly what's going on, but we know it ain't good.
Yeah, he says, "Why didn't you tell him?"
Yeah.
So something's wrong.
She didn't tell him on the phone. Doc Graham, we find out, is Moonlight Graham. Mm-hmm. So he became a doctor later in life. Well, not that much later, but
yeah. He went to medical school after his baseball career ended.
And he went back to school, but they found out that he died before they got there.
Yeah, he's already gone.
So they were going around asking different people about him. Mm-hmm. His wife loved blue hats.
Yeah. Did you know all those were real people?
No.
In the town.
Really?
Because it was a real
was
person.
A real guy?
And so those were people that knew him, and they just asked for anecdotes.
That's really neat. I didn't know that
I looked it up. I was like, oh, that's a fun little
so
fact.
Fun. And because the one guy seemed so genuine, and he was like, his wife loved blue hats, so the shop owners in town would purposely get blue hats in because they knew he'd come in and buy them. Mm-hmm. And then when he died, that they found in his office boxes and boxes of blue hats that he never got a chance to give her. And he's like, bet you didn't know that. And he's like, no, I didn't.
Yeah. And it just... Like, he was an amazing doctor. They were saying...
give glasses to kids who couldn't afford it,
He cared about his patients.
Took care, like, a lot of kid patients, And that's what they say, kids, it didn't matter if they could pay or not, he just wanted to help.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
Yeah. So Ray goes outside to give Terrence Mann privacy, and he sees a re-elect Nixon poster. And then Godfather's playing in the theater, number one of this year's best. It says
this year.
This year, yeah. Because this movie's supposed to take place, I guess, they filmed it in 88. It came out in 89. And then he sees Doc Graham on the street. after seeing a 1972 tag on a car.
Yeah. And we realized we're back in time.
Yeah, and we knew it was Doc Graham because he had his umbrella with him.
Yeah,
and
he always carried an umbrella. And he had like a doctor's bag too, I think he was carrying.
Yeah, and like an overcoat and everything. Yeah. So he couldn't get a hit in the one inning he played, he said, and he couldn't bear going back to the minors again, so he went home and gave up on his dreams. So that's what happened in that game, essentially. But let's see. Doc Graham. Oh yeah. So he was asking him, like, when, don't you wish you could go back and don't you regret that? And he's like, after he was, he'll die in this town after being born in that town and living in that town with no regrets. The only regret that he would have was not being a doctor for 5 minutes. If that hit would have happened in the baseball, he wouldn't have become a doctor. So, they asked him, like, don't you regret not getting to play in the majors? And he said, no, if I got that hit, I wouldn't have become a doctor. I would have regretted that.
Yeah, so he was happy with his life.
His life, yeah. And he had, his wife, and he was happy. So calls home, and Annie finally does tell Ray that the farm is being taken by the bank. And then on the way home,
he's like, we gotta go home. I gotta go.
Yeah, and then Terrence is like, well, I'm coming with you. I want to see, the baseball.
Because they're kind of at a dead end at this point. It's like, well, Doc's
interested. So on the way, they pick up a hitchhiker, and here he's a baseball player, and he talks about his name's Archie Graham. Which is Archibald Graham. Yeah.
As they're driving.
Yeah, they know. And this is like sweet little kid.
Yeah,
he's
like
just
a little...
like it's 18 or 19.
He's young.
And he's trying to go to these towns where they'll find you jobs so you can play ball at night and work during the day. And he's like, well, they haven't done that since the 40s. Like what? But Ray says he can't respect his dad because his hero was a criminal, Shoeless Joe. Like at one point, I'm like,
okay,
he's just looking for ways to stick it to his dad. So these tasks Ray feels are his penance because he was so mean to his dad all the time.
He was not a very good son towards.
Well, and Terrence Mann now knows why everyone's role is in this except for his own.
Yeah,
so he can't figure it out. So once home, they notice that many more players have showed up.
Yes, it's a full
packed. They only had,
roster.
I think, 8 players at the beginning, so they weren't able to play a full game.
Yeah.
And now there's,
And Shoeless Joe says to him, like, Ray's like, I hope you don't mind, but, like, we got tired of just practicing. We want to play, so we invited some more people.
And he said, Ty Cobb wanted to come, but Shoeless Joe said no one could stand him when he was alive, so he told him to stick it. And then he gives his famous, ha! Like, it's his Ray Liotta laugh.
Yeah,
and I was like, the Goodfellas laugh. And I was like, oh. So Archie got a hit. He got hit by the ball and got out. But the guy on second, he got a hit, but they caught it. And when he was finally up at bat, because at first the older guys were kind of hassling him a little bit. But there was a guy on second, and he was able to score. So
then he winked at him.
Yeah. He's like, don't.
He winked at the pitcher. Don't wink at him.
He's like, don't wink at him.
Yeah, he's getting cocky up there. Our bat. You didn't like that.
That was a ghost.
That was a ghost.
Sorry,
our set is crumbling.
So Mark shows up, Annie's brother, and he walks right through the game because he doesn't
just interrupting.
At one point there was and he wants to buy out Ray for the land. It's $2,200 an acre, and for this being foreclosed upon.
Yeah, and he's like, "You're stupid to not sell it to me. Just give it to me. I'll buy it from you. I'll take care of all this."
Karen says they don't have to sell the farm. People will come. They can charge tickets to watch the game. And
she says people are gonna come.
Yeah, people will come. Yeah. So Terrence Mann also says people will come, Ray.
He gets it then. He's like, you can sell a ticket.
Yep.
People will come here. They'll watch
remember
this.
what it's like to be a kid. Yeah.
The nostalgia of it.
Yep. And Terrence Mann and Mark are going back and forth for a while. Annie says nothing, I put, because she's just sitting there like a stump. And I'm like, she's the wife. Like, it's their land.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
It's her brother.
Yeah.
Like...
I was like, put him in his place, girl. So Mark again, grabs a kid. He grabs Karen, and I'm like, that was his whole shticking for his kid too. He's just grabbing his kid. And I was like,
he's too rough with the
again. He grabs a kid, and Karen falls off the bleachers, and she's out cold.
Yeah, she's just. They're rushing down. Is she breathing? Is she?
Yeah, okay? And then he's like, well, Annie's like, I'm gonna go call emergency, and Ray tells her, no, don't.
Yeah, and she's like,
I'm sorry, my baby's on the ground. I'm right, going. And she's knocked out. So Doc Graham helps.
Yeah, so he walks off the field,
and at that point he
turns to like
in his like 70-year-old self. Yeah. He steps off the field back to doctor. He diagnoses it as choking right away.
Yeah, he's like, she's choking. Yeah. She can't breathe.
But she was out for a long time.
It was a very slow approach.
It was, and nobody's like they could have called the emergency by then. You know, like I know, like
because he just sits her up. One whack on the back. The hot dog she was eating pops out.
Which hot dogs are a major choking hazard for children. So I mean, there you go.
It's true.
But then they realize Ray finally realizes Doc can't go back on the field. Once he's out, he's out.
And he's so upset. Like
he's
like,
oh no,
I took it away from you. You couldn't even play again. And he's fine with it.
He's like, I'm going home.
And like. He walks, like, he's walking through the players, and they're all, like, patting him on the back, and just, like, you're great, like, you did great, kid, and he just nicely walks into the cornfield. I know, it was such a, like, dramatic moment.
I know.
He's such a sweet man, and it's like, and you gave him that little bit of joy that he got to play with the majors.
And with, like, the guys he idolized, that he wanted to play with.
It was cute.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But now all of a sudden Mark can see the players. And he said, when did all these baseball players get here? When did all these ball players get here?
Once Doc Brown transformed in front of him.
Doc Brown, you said it too. I wrote Doc Brown in here. Like, it's Doc Brown.
Back to the Future, sorry.
And it doesn't help. My son has a Doc Brown like plushie that he got in a claw machine, and so like it's fresh in my head because he was just asking for these.
Oh, whenever we say Doc Brown, we mean Doc Graham.
Doc Graham.
And I love his name too, Archie Graham.
Archie
it's
Graham.
Such a cute little name.
Yeah. Okay. So Joe Jackson says, "Do you want to come with us?" And Ray is like, "I don't know," and he's like, "Not you." And he's
You're not invited.
Yeah, it's Terrence Mann. Ray was not invited. And then Terrence Mann said he gave an interview before Ray came. Did you get, my captions weren't working. Did you get that part? Because I did not.
So when Ray confronted him at his apartment, he said, I read your interview where you said you wanted to play.
Yeah.
And he said, I never said that.
Oh,
so he thought, well, I was wrong. Like, I should have come.
Oh, okay.
He said, I did.
I didn't know if there was some kind of health hazard or something I missed.
Like, he admitted,
like that he gave an interview, to having fun,
like, he admitted that he...
Okay, that he did get... Okay, I did get all that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I did get all that. So that, okay, I didn't miss. I figured rather than go back for a fourth time, though, I'd just ask you about it. So Ray's angry he can't go. Because, why would you... Well, let me just ditch my wife and kid.
Right, like, just to go and see what happens when you go into the corn.
Like
you
see
just
when you
saw
die.
that Graham couldn't go back.
Right.
Like, you think you'll be able to come back with your child and your wife?
A little bit.
Yeah, that was the only part. It was like, I don't get his passion towards this right now.
Mm-hmm. So Terrence Mann does go into the corn and he's laughing. It's just like he's like kind of testing the waters. And
and he had said about like writing another book, and he said like I want a full report. Like, I want to read this.
Yeah. So Joe Jackson's grinning, and he's like, "What are you doing, you grinning ghost? Or what you grinning at, ghost?" And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Clear of day," and then clear of day as day. Joe Jackson says, "If you build it, he will come." And then he looks over, and we see Ray's father, John, is has shown up. And I don't know if he was there the whole time.
No, I don't think he was.
I don't think he was.
I think he just appeared. I think it was kind of one of those things like when Terrence went through, it kind of completed what he was supposed to be doing.
Maybe.
And that's when it made him come.
That could be. So, his Ray's like remarking how he only saw him years later, worn down by life. Yeah, 36. I get it.
Worn down. Get my walker out.
And then he's like, I don't even know what to say to him. And Annie says, well, why don't you introduce him to his granddaughter? So he does that. Annie lets them talk. She's like, I got a lot of work with all these people coming, you know.
Well, they introduce themselves, and he seems to have no recollection.
No,
he doesn't know who Ray is.
He doesn't know who Ray is either. And that's why they didn't say his granddaughter. He said, this is my daughter, Karen.
Yeah. Then he said, this is my father. And he was about to say father and said, this is John.
John, yeah, exactly. Yeah. John asks Ray if this is heaven, and then says and he says no, it's Iowa.
It's Iowa.
And then again he said that there is a heaven, so I don't know why he asked that, because John said
because then he says, is there heaven?
Yeah, there's a heaven, and it's where dreams come true, you know, but they can't play baseball.
Right, but you're not there yet.
There's a couple plot holes that are
a little, that should have been explained a little differently.
But I didn't, we're nitpicking. But,
a little
bit. So Ray hears Karen giggle and says, maybe it is heaven, you know, because Io is his farm, with his family.
Your dreams come true.
He calls John Dad, and asks to have a catch.
Yeah, and he's like, sure. Like, that all of a sudden is like, I'll be your dad.
Maybe, like you said, though, maybe there's, more clarity the longer he's out.
Maybe.
In the field. You know what I mean? Because wasn't there, somebody else we were just talking about who, had more clarity, the more time they were. Yeah. So, Annie turns on the field lights for them, and in the background you can see this line of headlights to the farm, from the roads, just as far as the eye can see. I said, but no ball players are left, though. They all went in the corn, so they're just gonna see.
They're just gonna show up.
They're just gonna see Ray and his dad playing baseball. So,
I did see a fact, the cars, they were all real cars.
Oh, really?
It was the Iowa community came out,
neat.
caused a huge traffic jam to do this, and they couldn't drive because there were so many, there was no room to drive. So to make it look like they were moving, they just flashed their high beams.
That's cute.
Yeah, so it looked like it was flickering as they were coming around.
That's cool. That's really cool. So
that must have been an elaborate shot to get right.
I bet. I did do some sleuthing because I know a couple of the YouTube vloggers that I watch that are travel vloggers recently went to the house last year. Yeah. It is open. It's a tourist attraction every day from sunrise to sunset year round.
Because it was a real farm that they used for the set and created the baseball field. And
they have youth tourneys and tourists come, and then they have ghost players perform. Yeah, on Saturdays.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so they
road trip.
Yeah. I know. I really would like to go. There's a live cam if you go on the website. You can see. I saw it when I went on the other day. There's snow, so they said check weather before you come. Yeah, but
now's not the time
so if they do have youth turner. What?
Do you need a moment? Are you hearing a voice in the corner?
I'm having a worn down by life moment.
She's elderly now.
Tournament. I kept saying turnship, and I'm like, that's not it. No, turnship, championships and tournament. Yeah, tournaments for youth baseball.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, and then and they had one major league game there, which was the Yankees versus the Red Sox in 2021. And it was supposed to be in 2020, but obviously we all know what happened in 2020. Yeah. So they moved it to 2021, but they're supposedly, it's a second field that they built for that, and they're supposedly expanding it to make it permanent so that they could start hosting more MLB games there too. Yeah,
that would be fun.
It would be fun. Gabby Hoffman played Karen, and she was also in Uncle Buck and Now and Then and Sleepless in Seattle. Yes. She had a lot of kid parts in movies when we were
actress.
Yes. And she was in the Freaky Friday with Shelley Long. Too.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Amy Madigan is Annie, and she was in Uncle Buck. I thought I thought there was more because she looked really familiar.
Yeah, I thought so too. I couldn't place her.
I thought maybe she was in. I thought maybe she played Kit in League of Their Own too, which is the sassy sister film to Field of Dreams. Yeah, but it's a different actress. Yeah. And then Burt Lancaster played Doc, and he had a huge resume of old films. He was in Here to Eternity, a Jim Thorpe movie. He was in a whole bunch of things, in old Hollywood.
This was his last movie, wasn't it? I think
I think so.
I think he died shortly after.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So really good cat. Obviously, Kevin Costner is the 80s heartthrob of the time. This was a year before Goodfellas came out, which is my favorite Ray Liotta. My favorite movie, and I love it, was Ray Liotta's in it. So, yeah.
And Kevin Costner was in Bull Durham,
Yep.
another baseball movie, the year before.
Oh,
and they
okay.
presented him with the script, and they didn't think he was going to accept the role
Okay.
because he
He
had
was
just
just
done
on
a
a
baseball
baseball
movie.
movie.
But he said, no, like, I want to do it. So,
Which Bull Durham's on our docket, too.
yeah, part of our Major League Series here.
Yeah. Or a baseball series.
Baseball
here, yeah.
series.
But I really like this. I liked it more as an adult. I didn't get it as a kid. I remember being really bored as a kid. With
I was a little bored as a kid, yes.
Yeah.
This had a higher... there was no squirrels, though, because I think it
It
was
was
the
night.
evening.
It was nighttime. We were looking at nothing.
It was darkness, so we're just
Dark
looking at our own
squirrels.
reflection
My
from the lamplight.
imaginary squirrel rating for this probably would have been about 10 to 15.
Yeah, I
maybe
think it was
20
higher.
squirrels.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I got bored, but like now as an adult, I
I really
understand more.
appreciated
Yeah,
it. Like,
same.
it was a great dramatic movie. And it had little bits of humor, too.
Yeah.
Like, it was nice.
I like the parts that they borrowed from real life.
Yeah.
too.
And it was, like, there's a good mystery to it. Like, you're trying to figure out what's happening the whole time. So
yeah,
it's
there's
nice.
like the reason behind everything.
Yeah, it's a good feel-good
It is.
story.
It is, definitely.
Yeah. So,
Highly
the
recommend.
squirrel rating was high then.
Yeah.
But now, like, being age appropriate.
I say 0 squirrels now.
Yeah, 0. I really
I really
it.
like
There
this
was a
too.
couple scenes that were a little long, a little drawn out, but it was still enjoyable.
Yeah, it was not like some other films that we watched where they were super drawn out, though. Yeah, like this. Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I said I didn't remember it being as good as it was. So I highly recommend Field of Dreams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our little recap here of Field of Dreams.
Please feel free to follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram. And if again, these are our opinions on these movies. If you have a differing opinion or you want to agree, please let us know in the comments. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. And we'll see you at the movies.